Hi, welcome to my studio, and on this video I wanted to show you how I use Pan Pastels to actually block in an underdrawing, and then I can put on the details with pastel pencils on top. So the blue applicator in my hand is a soft tool. If you're not familiar with Pan Pastels at all, then they're a very concentrated pastel colour, and they're in these little cake pans, all different colours you can get. And the soft tools have been specially formulated to pick up the pastels really easily and to spread them and to for them to blend nicely with them as well. They're not really the same as your typical makeup applicators, but you can try using other tools and other things as well. What I like about them is the fact that because the particular one I'm using is shaped pointy at the top, I can get some nice details and into all little corners with it quite easily as well. So the gorilla, if I go through what I've got so far, this is a test piece for a big drawing, a complicated drawing I'm doing of this gorilla for my Patreon channel this month. And my Patreon channel is an art channel, and I put full-length videos on there, usually 2, 3, 4, 5 hours long, lots of detailed instructions. But what I wanted to do here was, before I jumped right into that real time-consuming drawing and a major work, was to try out some of these pan pastels and try out my pencils and try out some techniques so that I can do them on a spare piece of paper which I've got on my right hand side, and that's pastel mat paper. Takes lots of layers. And what this little exercise really does for me, it allows me to become familiar with the subject. I can try all different techniques out. Like I said, if I make a mistake on this paper, it doesn't matter because I'm not going to finish it. It's there specifically for me to practice on. And that'll then give me the confidence that I know the techniques will work, so when I start the major piece, like I say, I'm a lot more confident. I know what I want to do. I know how to get the certain effects that I'm hoping to achieve with this drawing. Now the image on the left, obviously that's a photograph I took recently at a zoo of a big silverback lowland gorilla, and I thought it would make a really nice dramatic subject. So what I've got now, my drawing is on the pastel mat. It's not sealed or anything, it's just transferred onto there. It's just a pencil. In my hand then I've got a black pan pastel, and then above it kind of a slaty grey one. Above then I've got a white, which I'm going to use for some highlights, and because there's a couple of browny tones in the reference photo, I've got a couple of browns up there as well. On the side then are my pencils that I've selected out of my Carbothello set that I think will work on this drawing. It's colours that I can personally see in there. And under the pan pastels I've got another spare piece of pastel mat paper, the same colour, and I'm just using that kind of as a palette so that I can blend my colours on there, mix them a little bit from the pan pastels before I apply them to the pastel mat surface. So as you can see, I'm just blocking in, nothing difficult, working from the darks pretty much to the lights. And pastel mat paper is kind of a sanded paper, so it's got a texture to the surface, but the surface texture is fine and it feels a little bit velvety. But don't get this confused with vella or velour paper. It doesn't work anything like that at all. That paper personally I couldn't get on with. Pastel mat I absolutely love. It takes so many layers, and it's a very forgiving paper. You can really work roughly on there. You're not going to push any holes in it. With velour you've got to be really gentle with it. It's a very delicate paper. So basically here I am just working from those darks up to the lights. I only really need two colours, the black, the blue and the white, really, to get a nice base in here. Now I could have done this with other soft pastels, but what I love about the pastel, the pan pastel, like I said, is it just goes on so quickly. It's easy to blend the colours together, and the applicators are fantastic because you can really alter the shape on them to suit the positions that you require. The only thing I'd say about the applicator that I'm using now, because I'm quite rough-handed, I wear them out fairly quickly. And because the pastel mat surface has got that slight texture as well, it's kind of like putting on rubbing it against a very, very fine sandpaper, so it's not going to last forever. So, you know, try out different tools as well and see what suits you. But you can see how quickly this drawing is coming together. After only perhaps 4 or 5 minutes, I've already got the structure starting to build up on there. And I'll just speed it all up just slightly so you can see how this progresses. Okay, so you can see I'm just building the layers up, and sometimes when I speed it up fast like this, you get a better idea and an impression of how I'm building and using the pan pastels rather than seeing it very slow. So usually working dark to light. You can see I'm still going in that direction. Now, people ask me, do you have to have pan pastels? Well, no you don't, because the pans are something I've only recently started with myself, and in fact I haven't even been doing pastels that long, so it's all a learning process, and it will no doubt continue to be. But as long as you blend in like I am with my finger now, or you could use, if you want to do a harder blend, you can use a pastel stump, or paper stump, sorry, and I usually use a Derwent one if I want to really push it in. But you can see now I'm using Conti sticks on this right hand side just to show you that you can do it with that as well. Now it doesn't blend as easily, and what you need to do then is use something like a Derwent stump that's quite a soft stump, and when you go over that as I'm doing now, you can see that blends in lovely and gives a very, very similar effect. So if for some reason you don't want to use the pan pastels, or perhaps say too expensive because you know you don't want to spend any more money on your art materials and you've already got sticks, or even soft pastels, you know, you could have a Winsor & Newton one, or a Sennelier, or a Unison, or whatever. That'll work just as well. So you don't have to have pan pastels, but personally I found that they're a real great addition to my pastel supplies. Especially I love it for doing these under drawings, and also for doing blurry backgrounds as well, and they really do go a long way, so they are quite cost effective. Okay, so back to normal speed. I'm going to continue to build up layer upon layer on this pan pastel. And the thing is, when you're doing an underdrawing like this, basically it's the building blocks of the drawing. It's the kind of like a footings of a house. You've got to have this structure underneath first. I don't like to, well, lots of artists actually work on a tiny area at a time. Perhaps they start on the top left hand corner if they're right handed, and they'll completely finish that little 1-inch square, and then they'll move slightly to the right or down a bit, and then they'll do another little 1-inch square, and they'll keep doing that until it's finished. Personally, I don't like working like that. Pastels is very similar for me to oils, because you've got the benefit of being able to do the light over dark, and that's what I'm switching to now. You can see I've brought down the white and the blue pan pastels, and I'm mixing them together on that scrap piece of paper, so I'm getting a, you know, kind of a light blue. I'm just going to put that in the highlight areas. So as I was saying, I don't like to finish one little section at a time. When I've done oil paintings for 20 years, I've liked to get a real nice base, a solid base, so that I can see the structure and build upon that. And the beauty of pastels is that I can do exactly the same with those, so I can treat them just like oils. So I like to work from dark to light. I like to get the structure and the shape and the form in there, and then you know, I kind of do it a bit muted, a bit subdued, so that I can come in then with the pencils and start to punch in the details and really make it look much more realistic. The beauty, if you've used pastels, is that you can work dark to light, but you can also then go back in and go light to dark, so you can re-darken areas, you can adjust it. pastel mat and things like pastel card as well, you can put lots of layers on top before you really fill the tooth of the paper. Now, one thing I'd say about Pan Pastels, it's a real strong colour, so don't go loading the brush up too much on an underdrawing. You don't want to impregnate so much pastel into the paper surface that you can't do another layer, so be careful. Put your areas on there, rub them in with your finger, or use a paper stump, a soft stump, or perhaps you want to use something else that you've tried out. Push the pastel then into the surface, and a little bit of pastel will come off as well, and that's going to mean you've still got tooth in the paper, so you can build layers with your pencils if you want to do details. Now, you don't have to. You can use these small applicators like I'm using and finish the whole piece. If you don't want to be doing every individual hair, you want a more painterly appearance, there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't just continue with Pan Pastels, if you've got the colours you require. So you can see just by putting in a few of these highlights now, and I'm not going to finish it, I'm not going to go really detailed because, as I said, this is only a test piece, but just by putting in some of these highlights, you can see how effective it is, Pan Pastels, for an underdrawing. And it's cleaner, there's not as much dust as you would get with soft pastels. And I love the ability that I can just turn the tool on its side, just like that, and get a little fine line. Now obviously I'm going to go over all this. I'm known for putting in lots of detail in my wildlife art, and I want to really push this subject to my limit to see how good I am with pastels at the moment. It's a learning process all the time, and some subjects I like to do more painterly, and some I really love the challenge of putting in as much detail as I can and really getting realism. And that's what I'm going to try and do with this gorilla. And as I mentioned, I'll put something on my Patreon art channel, and it's going to be quite a few hours long. So you can see sometimes I use my finger just to blend the pastel a little bit, and I'm also using the applicator pretty much in the fur direction as well. Now a lot of this is going to obviously be layered on top of, pretty much all of it actually, but some of these marks that's underneath may well show through, and that's why I want them in the direction of fur growth. Or if there's marks on there, as in the face now, I want to go in the direction, the shape and form direction, so I'm pulling down. And I'll also do that when I blend as well, and when I'm rubbing I try to go actually in the direction of the fur growth. So for the eye, I'm going to jump along and speed up, because this video is pretty much all about using Pan Pastels to get that underdrawing in, which I've done. And now, just for my own benefit, I'm going ahead and using some sticks and also some of the Pastel pencils to try and put in some detail, just to prove to myself that I can manage to layer on top and get that shiny effect on the skin as well, and get all those little marks in there. So I'll probably spend another 30 or 40 minutes on this drawing, just to bring it to a nice level of completion in a couple of areas. That's all. As I said, it's a test piece, it's a sketch. I'm not going to finish it. It'll probably just end up in a drawer in my studio, but the lessons I'm learning, the experience I'm gaining, trying different things out without having any pressure, because if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. And those lessons are really invaluable. So I'm just going to continue with some of the sections of the face and see how I can build up some layers. So what I like to do usually when I'm doing things like eyes is block in the darks and then start working lighter and lighter. Well, the last thing I'd be doing then would probably be the highlight, which would sit on the surface of the eye, and that really brings it to life. So with the pencils, and I'm using Pastel pencils on the left hand side, I got the full set there, and I like to once again work usually from dark to light with the pencils, although you can go as you know, backwards and forwards. So you can go dark to light, then if you want to darken an area, go light to dark. You know, you can do it both ways around, so it's no big problem. Lots of people ask me how I keep my pencils sharp. I use a crank handle sharpener, and a nice cheap one is a swordfish. Now, to keep it sharp, put graphite pencils through every 3 or 4 pencils, or you know, if I do a few pencils and I'm sharpening on pastel ones, I then put a graphite one through for a few turns as well. Keeps it sharp, stops those breakages. Okay, so I'm using a grey pencil now to start to put in the suggestion of some detail. So I'm adding the layers on top of that underdrawing, and because I'm using pastel mat, it takes many layers, so there's no problem at all doing it. Good thing about the Carbothello range as well, I got an excellent selection of all different colours of greys in there, and lots of browns as well, so very good for wildlife type of artwork. You can see sometimes I'm still using that Derwent stump as well when I want to blend areas. And I'm only going to work on this eye, on this little section as well. As you know, this is just a tester, so once I've proven the techniques work, I'll be confident then to crack on with my large drawing. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it of some use, and as I mentioned, I'm going to put a real long video or series of videos on my Patreon channel, so if you're looking to see lots of details, full instruction and lots of tips and techniques of working with pastels or oils or charcoals and graphite, my Patreon is the channel to go to. See you all again real soon. If you're looking for more art resources, I've really got you covered. I've got a dedicated tutorial website, that's jasonmorgan.co.uk, lots of videos on there, ebook tutorials, you name it, it's on that site. I've got a Patreon art channel, so every month I put up brand new videos, and that could be pastel videos, oils, charcoals, they're full-length videos, and there's also photo references with the Easy Trace line art on there. I've got quite a few hundred people supporting me, and that's on Patreon. And also, if you're after even more reference photos, I got a dedicated website just packed with reference photos. I think there's about 900 on there at the moment. So that's wildlifeart-online.com. Now, please, with my YouTube channel, new videos coming on here as well. If you can possibly subscribe to the channel, then you're never going to miss out on new videos.